Rob, why don't you talk to us about Fire of Love?
Yes. All right. So speaking of, grandiose and seeing it on as large a screen as possible, this is one of the ones that I really wish, even though I have a large screen as well, I still would love to witness this in IMAX, because this is a documentary. Sara Dosa is the director, and she came across all of these 16 millimeter tapes of all this footage from a volcanologist couple, and not volcanologists, but actually they studied volcanoes. So they were geologists, the Krafts. They're a French couple, Katia and Maurice Krafft. Imagine if you had to cast them into a Hollywood production, it would be Tilda Swinton and Stephen Ray. That's kind of what they would look like. And they chased these volcanoes all around the globe, and sadly, tragically, they miscalculated one in 1991, and both died at the base of a volcano in Japan. Anyway, she came across this treasure trove of all of their footage and had to piece it together, and she created almost a love story between the couple, because you didn't know too much about the couple, even though they had very animated personalities when they were on television. We didn't know too much about them, and she kind of had to, it was like a puzzle, getting a bunch of puzzle pieces without the box top, and she had to kind of put it together. So she had it narrated by Miranda, the indie darling, who uses this kind of honey-coated voiceover for it. It almost is like she's reading love letters to the audience. And then there was bits and pieces of animation, and I had Lucy Munger is the animator, who kind of filled in the gaps with these really whimsical, almost Monty Python-esque visuals in between it, and told their story, their story of how they got together, how they both fell in love with these, with this incredible natural occurrence, and how they tried to set out to kind of warn the world, but to educate them through education and say, hey, look, this is what you need to do. They in, I think it was in 1985, there was one in gosh, I can't remember. Maybe it was Colombia, a Colombian mountain that was going to blow. They warned the officials, but the officials thought it would be too much effort. So unfortunately, tragically, that ended up with about I think it was 25,000 people dying as a result of that. So they dedicated themselves to the cause and to education, and we get these wonderful home movies, quote unquote, of them. But these home movies are just they're in these suits, that look like just a thin mylar kind of suit in front of these just like orgasmic displays of lava that is just bubbling over in front of them, and it's just stunning. I mean, they look like they're characters out of a Wes Anderson movie, and he's got this penchant to do these kind of rack zooms, so it looks like a Wes Anderson movie at times too. But it's just it's stunning. The imagery itself is just outstanding, and I really hope to see it if it ever comes around in that form.
Actually, Rob, I saw you're glitching there a little bit, but I saw some stills from this movie, and it looks spectacular. It's something that looks like it has to be seen on the big screen. I'm sorry, like it just looks so like images you could like. It looks like a Hollywood movie, right? Like it's insane images.
It does, and it's
lava eruption. It's nuts, and wow, it just sounds amazing.
No Tommy Lee Jones, no Anne Hesh, no Pierce Brosnan. This is the real Dante's Peak or whatever you want. I mean, there's no visual effects outside of the charm and charisma of the two leads, who were just, I mean, you want to spend more time with them and kind of wish they were still with us.
Yeah. In reading the review, it sounded like there's a found footage nature to the footage that's in the movie, because they're going through their archives. Can you talk a little bit about how the film successfully presented all their material?
Yeah. So what she did was director Sara Dosa. She had to kind of piece this together, these little vignettes of their lives of over 20 years into a narrative. And that narrative, she had Miranda, the indie darling Miranda July, give the voiceover to it, and she had this, very, very sweet voiceover to it. And the gaps, she used a Lucy Munger is the visual artist who created these whimsical animations, and it was educational. Like I learned the difference between magma and lava, and the difference between a red volcano and a gray volcano. And it was, they would have loved to see this feature on them if they were still alive today.